All right, hello wine drinking people. Today is Tuesday, February 1st, first day of the second month of the year. And man, we had a great 2011 so far. January was a great month, several great once-in-a-lifetime tastings, and I think we're on pace to beat last year's 122 events. We got 4 events this week. We got 4 events next week. Check out the calendar of events for everything that's coming up. But now it's time for what I drank yesterday. And actually, we got so backed up last week, I haven't talked about the event we did with Eric Talavent, which was plugged as Jean-Luc Dunevin's winemaker for Chateau Valandraud, but actually this gentleman was in the banking business most of his life, and he runs Jean-Luc Dunevin's 4 wine stores in Saint-Emilion, a town that has about 40 wine stores for a population of 3,000 people. So per person, Saint-Emilion has got more wine stores than any town in the world. And, well, there's a lot of tourists that come through there. And, you know, I asked Eric what the heck you need 4 stores for, because these guys sell online, and they sell all the way around the world, except for in Florida. For some reason, we can't get their wines here. There was only 2 things available, but it's still nice to break bread with someone like Eric and Jean-Luc Dunevin. I've been to his tasting in Saint-Emilion around the Grand Cru, a great event. So we're happy to have him here. And he has several properties now, Jean-Luc. We had his Blanc de Valandraud, which is made by his wife. It is absolutely, Muriel, absolutely fantastic. A blend of Sauvignon Blanc, Sauvignon Gris, and Semillon from Saint-Emilion, right in the middle of the Chateau Valandraud vineyard. And this wine had some lovely exotic tropical fruit, grapefruit, quince, and wonderful freshness and wonderful concentration. Just a fantastic wine. It sells for about 29 euros. And, well, we're going to try to get all these wines because I was really impressed with several of these wines. The Virgin de Valandraud 99, which was drinking beautifully, really nice, kind of like a baby Valandraud, but I don't know if it's really a traditional second wine, being a declassification or just from a bunch of different vineyard sites. But the Saint-Emilion Grand Cru, the Bel Air Oie, really nice little wine for a 2000 soft, drinking beautifully at or near its peak right now. And then one of my surprises of the night, the Haut Charles Fronsac 2001, which, you know, 2000 got a lot of hype. 2001, to me, an underrated vintage. This wine had a lovely structure. Fronsac, an area of the Medoc, used to be... well, it used to be more expensive than the Haut-Medoc and the great classified gross, but a fantastic wine, one of the sleepers of that vintage, this Haut Charles wine, and really nice little wine. Next up, we had a wine from the Côte Catalans, which is from well, it's from an area in the southern area near Provence, and this wine is Calavet Thunvan, and this is the only wine that wasn't made with traditional Bordeaux varietals, Syrah, and Grenache and Carignan, but a really nice wine, big and juicy, and lots of concentration, lots of balance there. Really nice little wine, about 19 euros. So just add 1.5 times onto there, $25 should be the retail price on that. And that's one of the few wines I have seen in this market. The Clos Badon Saint-Emilion 2005, also representative of that great vintage, a really nice little wine. And then the Valandraud 2002, you know, kind of a lesser vintage from Bordeaux, but shows the pedigree of this wine. This is a blend of several different vineyards that Jean-Luc Dunevin has amassed in Saint-Emilion, and about 1,000 case production on this wine. But 2002, I would imagine, was much smaller because of the vintage. And hey, then we showed our La Ferrée Paraguay. That's the subject, one of the subjects of today's email. A really nice dinner. Next up, well, we didn't talk about Paul Hobbs. Hey, we had one of the legendary winemakers from California. Paul Hobbs started out of UC Davis at Robert Mondavi, and then he was on the experimental team with Opus One, consulted for many of the top names in Napa Valley, like Fisher, Vinecliff, and Louis Sellers. Hey, that's who we're drinking with tomorrow night. And, you know, Paul also consults down in Argentina and has his own label, Viña Cobos. And he's been involved with Nicolas Quintana and also with the Veramonte folks, our good friends at Augustin Huneas' group. He also works with them. We've been selling a lot of his little Pinot Noir, that Veramonte wine, for $11.75, and the Ritual at around $15. 2 of the best values in the Pinot Noir section. We had a great little dinner there at Market 17. Kirsten and her brother Aaron running the show there, and some really nice food. Maybe not the greatest food and wine pairings, but I think everything worked. There just wasn't any epiphany-type pairings there for me, and the ceviche was a little difficult to eat as a pass-around with a big plantain chip underneath it and the big pieces of ceviche. But like I said, all the food was very good. I was really impressed with the service staff there, very professional, maybe a little lengthy, but hey, man, when you're having dinner with good friends, time just seems to fly. We got out there about 11 o'clock. I usually like to wind things up 9:30, 10 o'clock during the week with our wine dinners. A lot of our wine drinking people got to get up and go to work the next day. Well, not me, really. I got to be here at 10:30, but that's not too early. All right, well, we had the Crossbarn Chardonnay, which, man, I thought the wine was a little light for the Russian River, and turns out this is Paul Hobbs' Crossbarn. And Crossbarn is a label that he has created to fill the demand for his wines because they become so great. And this is from purchased fruit. So, well, all of his wines are made from purchased fruit. Paul doesn't own a lot of vineyards, but it's not from his core of single vineyard wines like Richard Dinner Vineyard, Ulysses, Valdez Vineyard, and the other Beckstoffer Tokalon, because all of his Paul Hobbs wines under that moniker come from some of the greatest vineyard sources in Northern California. And like I said, Crossbarn is just Russian River fruit that he's purchased from here and there, or maybe some of the stuff that he's declassified. And the butter poached lobster medallions with the Pinot, it wasn't bad, but again, it wasn't a great food and wine pairing for me. The Salsify puree, lemon, and Sorel Hollandaise with Pinot. Yeah, no, like I said, it wasn't horrible, but not a food and wine epiphany. The Pinot Noir Hide was fabulous. This is a vineyard in Carneros that Paul Hobbs has been using actually since 1991, his very first vintage. This was the first wine that I brought over from Paul when I worked at Cafe Max. And this wine is a blockbuster. I mean, just incredible aromatics. It's got Pommard and Calera clones. And Paul credits Josh Jensen from Calera from being one of the godfathers of Pinot Noir. He told us the story of how he went out in the vineyards in Burgundy, in Domaine de Monacanti, La Tâche, and these other places that I can't mention because it's against the law to do what he did, and collected vines. That's how you propagate grapevines. You just take old plant material off and put it in the ground, and then boom, it grows into a new grapevine. But some of these wines did come from, some of the clones that Paul uses did come from Josh and from Calera. And this wine has got incredible dark purple color to it, almost Cabernet-like on the color, and lovely aromatics, flowers, decadent black spices, really exotic, and on the palate, really big and thick, but velvety smooth, and lots of freshness here. Paul's Pinots all have that punch of ripe, succulent fruit. And like I said, though, they do finish with great acidity, as did the Ulysses Valdez, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little more time to open up, but that's why they served it second after the Hyde Vineyard. And this wine, beautiful, lovely black fruits again, black raspberries, black cherry, and sweet tannins, and lovely freshness and exotic spices on the finish. Really long. I'd love to have this wine 3 to 5 years from now, really showing beautifully. And then next up, the Vigna Cobos Premier Malbec. This is his kind of mid-level Malbec before the top-level Cobos wine. And I'm not a huge fan of Malbec. You know, I think Malbec probably better blended in with something like Cabernet Sauvignon or some other Bordeaux varietals. Bonarda, very popular in Argentina. But this wine is pretty good, pretty big, lots of blackberry, boysenberry type fruit. But to me, Malbec just leaves a little something to be desired on the finish. All right, next up, the Napa Cab. And this is a blend of all the different single vineyards that Paul uses: Dr. Crane, Tokalon, Stagecoach, and a really lovely kind of old world style nose a little bit. Some lovely barnyardy and some lovely earthy character on the nose. But man, once this wine gets in your mouth, you know it's Napa Valley Cabernet. Big and juicy currants, cassis, and lovely sweet fruit. One of the hallmarks of Paul's wines. But still, again, some lovely acidity and zest on the finish. Lovely balance. A really nice Cabernet. And then, hey, the Beckstoffer Tokalon. Man, this is one of the top Cabernets made in Napa Valley year in and year out. Is it worth its $260 price tag? I don't know, man, but is anything worth $260 from Napa? If anything is, this wine is. Beckstoffer Tokalon. This is the original Tokalon vineyard. You buy some fruit from Andy Beckstoffer. So many people that are using this fruit today are charging big, big money for the wines. And the wines are getting big scores. This wine, 98 plus points. Schrader's Tokalon wine, some of them scoring in the 100-point range from Parker. But this wine is just a behemoth. Massively concentrated, lovely richness. And again, I would love to have this wine 5 to 10 years from now. Unfortunately, it's sold out. We don't have any to sell you, so the price is irrelevant at this point because there ain't none. We may have some 2006 and 2005 coming in a few weeks, direct from the winery. Whispered in Paul's ear, and he answered, yes, we do have some older vintage things available. So check it out. When we get those in, I'll let you guys know. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying that's what I had to drink last night. And always drink the good stuff first. And how the hell did I screw that up? I do that all the time.